What's up, everybody? I'm Pete,
And I'm Moosin.
and we're back with the Codename Kids Next Door weekly wrap-up, where I summarize Codename Kids Next Door episodes. So, if you watched the last episode, if you didn't watch the last episode, this is not gonna make a lot of sense to you, and that intro also made no sense, because we're not doing a weekly wrap-up of Codename Kids Next Door. That's not what our channel's about. For the record, we play video.
Yes, it is.
Oh, is it? Are we
Regardless of what he
changing?
says.
Are we changing the scope of the channel now?
Yep.
All right. Up to this point, we played co-op video games. Apparently, now we're changing to official fan channel of Codename Kid Next Door. Anyway, so. Oh, you just disconnected?
Did I?
Yeah.
Oops.
All right. Solo host, Puma Pete. Let's do it. We're gonna keep it going. Mason, I expect you to reconnect. Are you coming?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Now I'll continue. If we weren't going to continue, I was going to cut, and we were going to act like this never happened. But for you guys, we
The
don't...
escape key does not actually back out of some menus.
All right. Well, just for you guys, we're going to leave this in, unedited, because we don't do editing. If we do editing, we'd probably have like a technical difficulty screen or something pop up here, but we don't. So anyway, if you watched the last episode, you would know that I was discussing how I really wanted to know how Codename Kid Next Door ended, because this was like big for me when I was a child. Specifically, I wanted to know what happened to the delightful kids from down the lane / Sector Z of the Codename Kid Next Door. So I was watching the episode and I was discussing what happened to number 1. And it turns out it's the final episode of the show, and they're stealing the delightful kids from down the lane's birthday cake like always. That's how the show works. There's like 8 episodes of them stealing the birthday cake.
I remember that.
Right, and number 74.236, I think, steals the cake and sets up an elaborate scavenger hunt for like everybody to compete in to win the cake. Apparently, because he was like an operative of Kids Next Door, but he was like, oh, this is more than just the Kids Next Door. Like, this cake is more important. So like everyone was competing, like all of the villains of the show, like the Toilinator, Mr. Boss, the grandma with the gross cooking.
Toilinator.
Yeah, the Toilinator, Night Brace. They were competing. Another like Sector W of Codename Kids Next Door was also competing. And 1 through 5 were losing. Like, I guess they're Sectors X, maybe? We're gonna go with X. Or no, they're V. Sector V was losing. And they find out that Sector W was going for like the ultimate, like what was essentially the golden snitch of the scavenger hunt, which was Dad's Pipe. So like if you got Dad's Pipe, it was worth like 1,000,000 gajillion points, which I believe may be the actual number they used in the episode. And they were like, oh man, Sector W can't handle Dad by themselves, like we have to go save him. And they were like, oh, we don't care about the scavenger hunt anymore, like we have to save our friends. What is this portal? We're just going to ignore this portal for now.
As we always do.
As we always do. Because we have to explore the overworld. So anyway, they go to like the delightful kids from down the lane's house, which is also where Dad lives, obviously. And hey, that's where we turn in the quest. Oh my God, it's a Degenie. I don't think it's the one we're looking for. Oh, it is. Oh, all right. That's exciting. You guys get Codename Kids Next Door and quest completion / progress in the same episode. Anyway, they go and they're like, okay, we're gonna save Sector W, who screw like everything up, and like, all right, so Dad turns into a dragon in the episode who can breathe fire. Apparently, that was his secret power the whole time. Like, I don't remember in the show them ever revealing the fact that he was a dragon, but he is.
This universe just gets more and more ridiculous.
Oh, it's just starting. This last episode just pulled out all of the shots. Where do you want to go talk to the Degenie?
I want to kill this guy first.
Fair enough.
He's been throwing things at me for
That's-
the past minute. And
That's
a half.
reasonable. So they save Sector W, and the one like Sector W kid like goes to try to steal the pipe after V saves them, and his friends were like, "Oh no, you can't do that. Like number 1 deserves this." So 2, 3, 4, and 5 stay to distract the Dragon Dad, while number 1 takes the pipe to go win the scavenger hunt.
I like how he's now just casually Dragon Dad.
Yeah, Dragon Dad. He's no longer standard dad, standard issue dad. So number 1 arrives at the scavenger hunt, only to find the delightful kids from down the lane, who really is how this whole story started. And he gets in this like epic fight with delightful kids from down the lane, who end up just like this kind of made me sad. They just end up like falling into this giant like toilet-shaped hole, and like that's the end. They disappear. They never turn back into Sector Z, which made me really sad, because like they, as I said in the last episode, they were awesome. So like that was the end of their arc. I guess they just fell into a hole, and the end for them. Made me sad, but at this point I was invested in this scavenger hunt. So I was like, oh man, number 1's gonna get the cake. Everyone's gonna love him again. He's gonna be a hero. And he gets it, and number 74.326 or whatever he was knocks number 1 unconscious. All right, let's talk to the. I know the artificer and steady turn my ancient foe. Blah blah blah. Go fight Khan. Khan, the genie's first task. Where was I in the story? Okay, so number 74.326 knocks out number 1.
Torchlight.
This is. Is that what we're playing? Is that what this show's supposed to be about?
Apparently.
Well, it's this one. This episode is about Codename Kid Next Door. So they
These
go.
last 2 were about Codename
No,
Kid
it's like
Next Door.
1.5. The beginning of the last one was.
1.75.
You know, we'll argue semantics later. We'll check the replays if we did that. If we had that technology, we would do it. We don't have it. So we're going to just say my number was right. So 74 knocks out number 1 and takes him to this. He wakes up and there's this giant floating cake spaceship. And number 1 is like, oh my god, that's the cake. And number 74 is like, haha, that's not the cake, this is the cake. And it was just a little cupcake, and he eats it. And he's like, it was never about the cake. It turns out 74 set up this like entire scavenger hunt to test number 1. And apparently, there is like Codename Kids Next Door sector, like I guess operations all over the galaxy. Like,
What?
yeah. So I don't know if they're aliens or they're just supposed to be humans everywhere. And I guess it's like the galactic Codename Kids Next Door. And it turns out like, all right, so being an adult is a disease. So there are
Well,
some,
then.
yeah. So there are some which I mean, in the grand scheme of things, isn't it a disease? Because when you turn into adult, you die eventually.
Yeah.
So really, adulthood kills you. So maybe Codename Kids Next Door got really deep that episode, and was like taking this like introspective look on growing up and how it leads to your inevitable demise. Odds are that's not what they were doing, because this was Cartoon Network. Let's be reasonable. But so apparently there are planets that are still like entirely kids, looking to like fight off the disease from like spreading. And number 74 is like, we want you to become the first representative of Earth to the galactic Codename Kids Next Door.
Huh.
And number 1's like, oh man, like I have to say goodbye to my family.
Is this still in the real wonky half animated half?
Yeah, this is the animated portion. When they're kids, it's animated. When they were adults, it wasn't animated. Or when
So
they were,
this is
yeah.
still the same episode.
Are we going
right?
into the space portal?
Oh, why not?
Yeah. It's still the same episode. I'm giving like a very thorough. I want all of our audience to feel like they watched Codename Kids Next Door today with me in my house. Can you feel it, guys? Can you feel it?
Can you feel it, Mr.
Can you
Krabs?
feel it, Mr. Krabs?
On a semi-related note, that show was still on in 2013. So
Making
I'm
new
a guess,
episodes?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm a guess it's
Still relevant today.
yeah.
All right. So anyway, back to the very
Not like
important
I was
content
watching it today. Or
of
anything.
Codename for 4 hours.
It was like 2.5.
All right. Well, I only spent an hour watching Codenames Kids Next Door, so my day was only slightly sadder than your day. So number one's like, oh man, like you just want me to leave the planet and not say goodbye to my family, and they were like, your family's right here, and like, all right. So if you're not familiar with the show, like the adults aren't supposed to know about Codename Kids Next Door, and his dad and his mom are just there, like in the super secret, like galactic launch point to send number one to help save the universe. And turns out number one's dad was Agent Zero of like the founding of Codename Kids Next Door on Earth. Yeah, mind blown. And they like temporarily restored his memories, I guess kind of like what they did in the live action portion, so that they could like discuss him going away to like save the universe. And I almost forgot what we were doing. I remember we were in a phase portal with pirate skeletons everywhere.
You almost forgot that we were playing Torchlight.
No, we're definitely playing that. I'm 100% sure that we're playing Dota 2 right now. I'm Invoker. Actually, I'm a Warlock, so I'm gonna be Warlock. That makes a lot more sense. And this is my golem. So anyway, to continue with my extremely important summary.
It's a really big phase portal.
This is an extremely large phase portal. Usually the phase portal is like, defend the rock, and then you win. So number one says goodbye to his family, and then operatives 2 through 5 come running in also to this super secret location. They just found him. And they're going to say goodbye. And then Dad shows up. Also.
The Dragon Dad?
No, he's back in human form. He demorphed. He's back to human Dad because he wants his pipe back still. And what happens to him? I don't even remember. That's really not that important. Maybe they just like beat him up. We're gonna go with that. They beat him up, and number one finally leaves. And then it cuts back to live action, and they're like, "So is that all you can remember?" And number 5, adult number 5, is like, "Yeah, it's getting a little fuzzy." And then it cuts to the interviewer, and it's animated Dad interviewing live action adult numbers 2 through 5. And he's like, "Oh, I finally know like where to look for him." And then like this is a part where it would have cut to commercial, and like that's like the end. Like Dad's gonna go hunt down number one to like take him out once and for all. And like that was gonna be the end of the live action series. And then like if you stuck through to the very last commercial, it cuts to number 5 walking out of the interview room, like supposedly after the orientation or like the memory thing like wore off, so she wasn't supposed to be able to remember things. And she pulls out this extremely bizarre looking cell phone made out of like a pipe and a piece of antenna, like something that like the Codenames Kids Next Door would use in the show. And she's like, "Yeah, we told him exactly what you told us to." And she's like, "All right, I'll see you on Moonbase." And he's like, and then she's like, "Glad you're back, number one." And it was just like, what? Like, all right, so adult number 5 not only was still part of Codename Kids Next Door, which is like the number 1 rule, no adults. So not only was she still part of it, but number 1 returned from the Galactic Kids Next Door fighting aliens, and they're just going to go hang out. And that's how the series ended. You don't even see live action number 1. You only see like 2s through 5 still. And that's how it ended. Where are you? You're standing there?
Apparently, I can't get to my next inventory pages.
My inventory is like full right now.
Oh, there we go. I backed out of my inventory and it let me, because I accidentally equipped something and it de-equipped my hat, or my staff.
That's quite an unfortunate.
But it wouldn't let me get to my extra inventory pages.
Alright, we're just going to drop something random here to pick up that blue. helmet. But yeah, so that's how Codename Kid Next Door ends. It's very unsatisfying. You don't find out what happens to Sector Z. Very disappointing. You don't find out how animated Dad is like talking to live action 2 through 5, and they just completely take a dump on like the entire rules of the series.
So pretty much, it was the worst video ever.
It was. I don't know how I feel about it. Like, all right, I'm kind of happy that like 1 through 5 still got to like stay like fucking 3 and 4 were married, and like 1 and 5 are still talking, and they're still doing like Kids Next Door stuff. So from like that aspect of it, I was happy, but it just kind of like broke all of the rules of the show, and because of that, I was a little bit sad.
I was still a bigger fan of Ed, Edd n Eddy.
You know, I could go on an extremely long rant about Ed, Edd n Eddy and like that theory too, but I'm sure you're familiar with it because it's way more common.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I mean,
we're not doing another 3 episodes of me ranting about Cartoon Network animated TV series or animated / live action.
I mean, Ed, Edd n Eddy was a pretty good show.
It was a pretty good show. I like Dexter's Laboratory too. I don't know how you feel about that one. Is your inventory completely full right now, by the way?
Almost.
Alright, mine is, so we're definitely selling after this episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's how Codename Kids Next Door ended, for anyone that ever wanted to know. I feel like that was a pretty thorough description. So I feel like, even if you knew nothing about the show before hearing me talk about it, you now are like an aficionado. You now know more than 38% of the world about Codename Kids Next Door. At least 38%. I'm assuming 62% of the entire world's population watched Operation Interview because it was just like a major television event.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go with that one.
You know, I was very heavily invested in that episode when I started watching it. Yeah.
I mean, now I had to hear about it.
You're probably gonna go watch it later now. You're gonna be like,
how'd you know?
I need to confirm what Peter told me. I need to know the truth behind Operation Interview. That's the name of the episode, in case you want to know.
Okay. See what you did there?
What?
Plug in the episode name.
I've said the episode name plenty of times, but that was like the longest solo Puma Pete rant I think of the show's history up to this point. It was like half an hour between last episode and this episode of me like doing a monologue about Codename Kids Next Door.
Well, now that you've got that out of your system, where were we supposed to be going?
Where, like, in terms of where we're supposed to be going, in terms of content of the show, or literally where are our characters supposed to be directing right now?
Where are we supposed to be directing? I know where we're headed currently with the show.
Safe to assume. All right, I gotta drop something random again. Pick up this blue bow. No, stop fighting stuff and just get the item. It's safe to assume that we have to go to those golden stars all over the map, but we also have to go to that green question mark way in the corner. And there to start. This map is humongous. I'm going to need to watch a lot more cartoon shows in order to fill enough content as we clear this giant map.
You feeling that monologue in your throat there?
I am. It's for real. I'm going to take a drink of my water real quick. Hopefully I don't die because I can't use my left hand to teleport now. Oh, that was a delicious drink of water. Oh,
I ran out of mine. I wasn't even monologuing.
That felt terrific. You died again. Chalk that up. That's like 3 deaths over the last 2 episodes for me.
I'm just making.
I'm winning right now.
For your Warframe deaths.
Except you have infinite respawns in this game, so it's not as big of an issue.
Yeah.
Shout out to us
Oh,
playing Warframe. Go check that out if you haven't. Talked about that in the last episode. Don't think we plugged that yet this one. It's a good time. Game's super awesome.
5 out of 6.
5 out of 6. 5 out of 6 whats? What is your rating
Elephants
scale?
on horses.
Elephants on horses.
Yeah.
Riding giraffes.
In a clown car.
I wish we had the editing technology to put all of those things together. And like cut that
Someday.
into this episode.
Someday.
Someday, I'm pretty sure I'm never gonna have that
Did you
level
see
of
all
editing
of those
skills.
lizards?
But that would make me
down there
super
with
happy.
the Thor's hammers.
With
The
Thor
Mjolnirs.
hammers?
The Mjolnirs. Look at all of them. They're carrying Mjolnirs.
I don't even see it.
Right here. They're carrying hammers.
Are they?
Yeah.
I don't see it. Oh,
There's-
no, there's a staff.
No, this one right here. I'm over here. Do you see it?
Does he have a hammer? I
Yeah,
don't
he
see
definitely-
the hammer doesn't register on my screen. It's him swinging an invisible weapon. What a bizarre graphical glitch. That's really funny. That's
Clearly,
great.
he has the power of tornadoes.
I have the
hands.
power, He-Man.
Never actually watched any of it, except the
He-Man.
Mia.
I've watched very little He-Man, so we can't get into a long soliloquy regarding the outcome of the television show He-Man. That's kind of before our time, I think.
Yeah.
But if you want to know what kind of rant I have in store next, watch us on the next Friendly Fire Co-op. Bye.